You know what old Jack Burton always says at a time like this?
Come on, then. I'll bite your legs off.
I can take it.
Great power comes great responsibility. We have a Hulk. Get to the chopper! And leave. Just a flesh wound. I am the father.
And we are back for episode 18 of SludgeCast. And of course, we've got main co-host joining me again here.
Micah, how's it going?
And we've got another co-host from the Monster Movie Stompdown joining for this episode.
It's Mark.
We've got a big special episode for you guys because we all know what just happened. So spoiler alert for those listening, and we'll post it on Facebook. This is the Avengers Endgame episode. 21 films, 10 years later, we're doing an episode. We've all finally seen it. I know me and Mike has watched it twice. We're going to talk about it, so if you don't want any spoilers because you haven't seen it, wait to listen to this episode. If not, jump right in with us. So we're actually going to start this a little bit different because I kind of threw Mark into this because we didn't tell him about it until he got here. We're actually going to talk about our top 5 favorite films leading up to Endgame. Because we're talking, 21 movies. The Infinity Saga is what they've dubbed it here and there. I mean, it's 10 years, 21 films. It's the biggest cinematic story ever made, ever. Nothing's ever even come close to this. So I think it's only suiting that we talk about our favorite films that's come to this point. And for those who don't know the story, you probably aren't listening to this episode or this show because you have to have hiding under a rock for the last 10 years to not know anything about Avengers. Actually had a friend at work, was it Wednesday? A lot of us were talking about Endgame in our team chat. And everybody in my team is super pumped, ready to see the movie. And then this one guy comes on, he's like, what's Endgame? What's that? We're like, are you serious? He's like, I have no idea. I'm like, the Avengers. He's like, I have no idea. And when some dude's like, how big is the rock you live under? Because there's no way you don't know who the Avengers are.
How can that be?
Yeah. So apparently, those people are out there, but, I think they're far and few between. So, but the story's crossed a lot of characters. I mean, we've got characters in the MCU. I mean, the MCU itself technically started with Blade years ago. That's what kicked off Marvel and their movies. If it wasn't for Blade, we may not be to this point yet. We would get here, but Blade really started it all.
Great movie.
Oh, phenomenal movie.
Oh, yeah.
Second one was great. Third one was very lackluster, unfortunately. The third one. That's when we would talk about that one because I was severely disappointed with Blade Trinity. Severely disappointed. But so it started there, but as far as the MCU itself, this story that's been going on for 10 years started with the first Iron Man. And since the first Iron Man, of course, we've gotten Thor, Captain America, Black Widow, Hawkeye, Hulk, and all these other characters come along the way. Ant-Man, Wasp, Falcon, the Guardians of the Galaxy, which, of course, the main ones we've got for this lineup, because in the comic books, there's many people who's joined the Guardians before, but we've got the main lineup. So you got Quill and Rocket Raccoon and Gamora, and I'm glad to see Nebula's finally joined in because she was part of the Guardians too. Mantis, Groot, and then of course Drax. And so you've got the core main Guardians there that showed up, and we've seen a lot of great things happen over the years. But the big thing is going through these films, there's been the little hint of Thanos in the background, and he's been the ultimate bad guy through all of this, and it's finally come to a head, and the movie came out, and oh my gosh, what a film, and we'll get into that. But let's start with going up to Endgame, going up to the finale. What are because me and Mike originally talked about doing all 21 films in order, but that probably would take quite a long time.
It would, yeah. So
we're going to go with our top 5 favorites of leading to this point. So, Micah, you want to jump in first?
Yeah, sure. I'll start. So my number 5 is going to be actually Avengers Infinity War.
Didn't expect that low.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, it's not number 1 on mine or 2
No. But there's so many films in this universe that to me are better than it, but just the storyline of it, bringing Cap back into it and kind of reuniting the Avengers core, just a culmination of all the superheroes beginning to come together, I think is what made that movie great.
Yeah.
And of course, Josh Brolin's Thanos was fantastic, but
I got stuff I want to say about him when it comes to talking about Endgame. But number 4.
yeah.
What's number 4?
Okay. I thought we were
Yeah.
going to
No.
okay. So number 4 is actually the first Iron Man. Revived
Such a
Robert
good
Downey
movie.
Jr.'s career, started the Marvel Universe, in my opinion. I haven't seen Blade, so I have no idea.
It really did. I mean, for this, for everything going on, I mean, it was Iron Man. Technically, financially,
yeah.
it was Blade, but yeah,
and
it's
so that
Iron
was
Man.
just cool to see that comic book character come to life. And to me, it's probably the best solo film, other than one more, but I don't count this one as a solo film. But number 3 is Thor Ragnarok.
Oh man,
I don't count it as a solo film because we get Banner and we get Valkyrie and Loki and all them. But you're introduced to so many characters. The Thor story kind of comes to a head with Hela and Surtur. But it was a great movie, fantastic, loved it.
best soundtrack
Oh,
other
for
than
sure.
the Guardians. Like it's as good as the Guardians soundtrack, I think.
Well,
I don't know about that. so,
Yeah, it is pretty good. But I loved Ragnarok.
Well, my number 2 is actually Guardians of the Galaxy, the very first one. Love that movie. I think it was an original. It was the first of a more lighthearted MCU film, in a way, if that
Yeah.
makes sense. You had again a fantastic soundtrack, an all-star lineup of actors.
Oh, dude, the cast in that movie is amazing.
Bradley Cooper is great. But then you see Ronan, and that was an interesting villain to pick for a Guardians movie, and the impact he had. You see him and Thanos go at it, and it's like, well, if that's what we have to look forward to, Ronan's nothing. Yeah.
Yeah, I really put that in perspective,
Yeah.
I think. Plus the dance off. You can't end a
for
movie
sure.
better
For sure.
than a dance off.
sure.
So
And then number 1 is going to be Endgame for me. Is just I literally don't have words for that movie. It is fantastic. For me, the money shot was Thor walking, or not Thor, Captain America walking towards Thanos' army with like the sun passing through, and then you just hear Sam talking to him. And I was like,
Oh,
this is
dude.
about to get good. Like, it's already great, but this is just so. But yeah, that's my top 5.
Endgame number 1. What about you, sir?
Well,
5-1.
5-1. Obviously, growing up, Captain America was
He's
big,
the man.
comic wise. So number 5, I did Captain America. Kind of got me pumped into the Marvel universe film wise.
The first one, first Avenger.
yes,
first, okay.
yeah. And
We can go back and talk about the 70s Captain Americas that were not good whatsoever.
yeah, we won't mention those.
I own them, but
I was making reference to comics coming in, and then 4 was the first Thor movie. I was another big fan of Thor growing up, and the comics, and so I was excited, pumped up, thought it was great. Ragnarok, I know you guys were talking about it. Still didn't do it as enough as the original.
The original Thor.
Right.
Thor
Yeah.
came out, and then from that point, it just started. Civil War. You kind of pushed that Civil War, Avengers Civil War on me, and
That one's so good.
introducing the new Spider-Man character. Fantastic, loved it. And so from that point, when Infinity War came out, I was like, well, I'm not sure. Watched it, I loved it. So Infinity War comes in at number 2, and obviously Endgame is the best. And you could, in my opinion, you could make an Infinity War and Endgame
Oh yeah.
one.
Well, it
Yeah,
is.
one.
It
Yeah,
actually
yeah.
it
So,
is. It's one big movie,
even
but
though
it's split into 2.
it was split into 2 movies, it's still one. To me, it culminates Endgame in the Avengers. The whole universe. So it's
dude,
great.
it's
great.
There will be a point where I'll sit down and watch Infinity War and Endgame in one long run to watch to get that whole story.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so that's really good. So 3 was your Civil War was 3.
Oh yeah.
for you.
I'm sorry. Yeah, 3
And then
was
2
Civil
Infinity
War.
War and then 1 Endgame.
Yeah.
Mine's going to probably be very different from your all's. Number 5, because I'm a huge Marvel fan, huge, obviously we know, but I'm also a big movie fan, and I have too difficult of a time separating the movie fan critic side of me and the comic book fan critic side of me. So I really weigh a lot in these. So number 5 actually went to Thor Ragnarok. I love the origin stories, but the direction and Well, the direction of Thor Ragnarok was phenomenal. The soundtrack was phenomenal.
Revived his character, in my opinion. Like,
It
changed,
did.
Yeah,
Because Dark World was
awful.
very
Just awful.
lackluster. The Dark Elves I did not think got handled very well. But definitely revived it. I'm also a big fan of the Planet Hulk storyline. So to get a little taste of that on film was epic for me. So everything about it. I loved it. I love seeing Loki side by side with Thor and Hulk, and seeing that, dude, it's so good. So that's number 5. Number 4 is actually Infinity War for me.
Yeah.
Did not make it the top 3, and it's phenomenal. I love that movie. I love the setup going into the Infinity War saga, because Infinity War saga was one of my favorite comic books. I mean, I've got the Infinity War 1 through 6. I've got the Infinity Gauntlet number 1 and near mint 9.0 or 0.2 or whatever it is. Anyways, so Infinity War was great. Bringing all those characters on screen together was absolutely epic. Some of the best emotional moments were caught in Infinity War, especially with the relationship between Iron Man and Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Was just really, really, really good. So Infinity War, we all know, very, very good. Number 3 goes to Captain America: Civil War.
Yeah.
It's hard to top the Civil War storyline. I'm glad they didn't kill Cap in that, because in the comic books they do. But it made it to number 3 because that was the Russo brothers showing they can handle an ensemble cast better than anybody in the world. And if it wasn't for them being able to pull that off, they would have never pulled off Infinity War Endgame. So that's why it came up a little bit higher for me. And they handled it perfect. I mean, everybody's moment to shine was absolutely unbelievable. Yeah. But to me, I'm almost surprised it didn't make it higher in the list for this one fact. The emotional factor in that film, to me, is the greatest emotional factor of all films between Tony and Cap, because they're the founders of the Avengers. Those two have always been super tight, and to see that bond just completely get demolished was absolutely just an emotional roller coaster. But to see, Tony gives up on Cap, but then to see Cap go, I'm still here for you. No matter what, it's like, dude, because you're Captain America, man. You're the best. So that's number 3. Number 2 is actually Avengers Endgame. Endgame made it to number 2. Yes, it is. We'll get into it when we talk about it. I did have a few issues with the movie, but it's, as a fan, it's perfect. It is perfect. It brought to a close. Again, the Russo brothers showed us they know how to handle a massive... this is the largest ensemble cast of any film.
How much money was dished out for payment, to pay these actors?
The budget for these movies was over $1 billion.
Yeah.
It's the highest production budget of any film ever. So it's absolutely insane. A lot of it's going to be because of paying all these actors for this movie, which, they took a little bit of a cut to be able to afford it, which I think was cool for them because there's so many. There was still some I would have loved to have seen, but we didn't have them. The X-Men and Wolverine and stuff would have been cool put in there, but it's okay. It was phenomenal. The movie was, and we'll get into it, such a good movie, bringing everybody together, and there was a lot of emotion. It was a huge roller coaster ride of a movie. The numbers speak for itself of what's going on right now. So made it to number 2. But the reason why I made it to number 2 is because, to me, there's been one perfect film in the MCU, and that's Captain America: Winter Soldier.
Wow.
That movie is it's the perfect film in the MCU. You can watch this movie not as a superhero film, and it's one of the greatest spy government espionage films ever. It tops most James Bond films, or the Bourne series. It is absolutely... You can take Cap out of the suit and just call him Steve Rogers, and the movie holds its own by itself without anything to do with Marvel. And to me, that's the Russo brothers, the writing crew they have and the directions that they have. And then the bringing of Bucky, comic side, made that movie phenomenal. What Cap goes through to bring Bucky back and what they go through was just unbelievable. Every bit of it, man. Every actor that's the best performances they gave. The movie's flawless. That's the only MCU movie I've walked out of and not go, I had an issue with this or had an issue with that. And when in my nitpicking, I had none for Winter Soldier. Winter Soldier, to me, was just... That's it. That's the best movie of the MCU. So, which no one probably saw coming, but it has nothing to do with me being a Cap fan. I mean, I am. When it comes to them all, Cap's the best.
Is everyone here sitting at this table like their favorite MCU superhero, Captain America? Is that?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I'm fine with it. Yeah.
Yeah, this is the Cap team right here. I mean, everybody. I mean, he's just Cap's the best. I mean,
yeah.
For so many reasons. All right, so before we get into Endgame, let's go ahead and do the musical break. We picked a song. Me and Mike were listening earlier. What would be a good song for this? And man, Memphis Mayfire's "Live Another Day," lyrically, musically, is perfect for Endgame with what's come, what's happened before, where we're at, and where we got, where we're going. Flawless song for this. So hopefully you guys enjoy it. Let it get you pumped up to see Endgame again, or for the first time if you're brave enough to actually go into this episode without seeing it. So check it out. Memphis Mayfire, great band we've played a few times before. Here's Live Another Day. And that was Memphis Mayfire, Live Another Day. Tell me that's not the best song for this movie, because it is. Dude, it's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. Let's jump into it, man. It's Endgame time. How do you approach this movie? Because it's just, there's, I was talking to Sarah, and she's not seen it yet, and she's dying to see it. And for someone who's never been a comic fan to get to this point, she's like, "We got to go see Endgame." I'm like, "I'm going to see it. You have to wait." I'm sorry. She's pumped. She wants to see it. I watched Infinity War Wednesday night after church to lead up to going to Endgame, and she watched the whole movie with me. She was like, "It's so good." I'm like, "Yes, it is. Comic movies are amazing." Let's get the tech side or the money side out of this. I mean, this movie was projected is projected, because here it is. It's Saturday morning, and we still got today and tomorrow to go through. Projected to make $850 to $900 million worldwide. That's huge. I mean, Endgame or Infinity War broke $1 billion, almost, I think it was close to $1.5 billion, and they're expecting Endgame to hit the $1 billion mark, if not break it, in its first week.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable. And if you look at it monetarily wise, this Infinity War and Endgame's budget combined, because they did it all together as far as the filming, was just over $1 billion for both films. They made that back on Infinity War. So, I mean, technically, Endgame, I mean, they got to divide it up a certain way, because they're still, this movie will pay back some things because they didn't pay it all back with the last one, obviously. But technically, every dime made on this movie is pure profit. It's pure, and which is insane. That's really good. Really good. So, I mean, I want Godzilla to do better financially. I personally think that overall, Godzilla will be a better film as far as a film side. Not a comic book fan side, but a film side. I think it will be a better film. I'm hoping at least, but it won't touch the numbers. Nor will Aladdin, nor will Lion King, nor any movie to come for a while, I think. I really expect before it ends its theatrical run, Endgame to hit the $2 billion mark or more.
Right.
It broke the record Thursday.
It's broke every record already.
Yeah, because did 60 million.
Yeah.
Thursday
So, opening,
and Infinity War was the old record.
It was close, but it was actually Force Awakens still held.
Oh, that's right.
Not by
that's
much.
Right.
I think it was like by 1 million, 2 million.
Yeah.
It was close. Okay. But Star Wars Force Awakens held the Thursday preview box office record with like 51.7 million, something like that.
Yeah.
Endgame did 60. I mean, so it definitely destroyed it pretty quickly. And not just that, Endgame actually debuted in 8 other countries Wednesday. China, Australia, Thailand, Malaysia, a lot of international markets. It broke every box office record for all 8 countries. It's the highest opening movie in China now ever. We went to a movie called Monster Hunter 2, which beats Star Wars Force Awakens, to tell you apparently how good this film is, because I need to see it, whatever it is. But it broke all those box office records. The numbers leading into yesterday's report for the matinees, they were saying that matinees and Thursday's numbers were already up to 140 plus million. So it's going to demolish all those records. It'll break every record. It will break every record this weekend.
I had friends in Indiana going at 6:00 yesterday morning.
At 6 in the morning?
6 a.m. going. Yes.
Jeez. I mean, I would do it if there was a showtime, I guess, if I'm up that early, but man.
Yeah. I would have loved to have done the marathon, like the 56-hour
Oh,
marathon.
dude, that would have been so good to do. I mean, so it's just going to dominate. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts. It will go on to be the highest grossing film of all time very quickly and faster than any other movie. And it's one of those things, too. It's like, man, this bar, I'd hate to be DC right now. Oh, I mean, there's some DC properties I love, but
let's don't go.
Shoot, I mean, they were like, yes, we win with Aquaman, and the Russo brothers are like,
hold my beer.
Yeah, hold my beer. Those memes, like, we got this. Because, it's demolished Aquaman. I mean, it will. But so let's get into it. I mean, I'll go last because there are qualms that I have with this film.
That's a shocker.
But it is an epic film. I mean, as a comic book fan, man, I don't know that it could get better. Well, it could. Bring in the X-Men, bring in Wolverine, bring in Venom, bring in some of the others that were part of the Infinity War. Adam Warlock, who... I don't know why he wasn't here yet, but I get it. But I mean, because there's things you can do and can't do. Obviously, they couldn't bring in the X-Men because they were owned by Fox for the electrical properties, and they didn't get them until this year anyway. So I get it. I'm okay with it, but it doesn't hurt the movie. But that's, as a comic fan, like, it would have made it so much better. Spend the extra money because you know you're going to make it to get them over here. But let's go around and talk about what we loved about the film, some of the shining moments of this movie that really... that's going to be talked about for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
Want to roll with Micah? Start with you
sure.
again?
I'll start. So for me, I loved the callbacks when they traveled back in time to like whenever we see Cap and Iron Man and Ant-Man and Hulk in New York with like the full-on fight happening. And Cap goes on the elevator and you're like, okay, that's Winter Soldier all over again.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
And then you go from that to the actual ending of Avengers that we never get to see with like Hulk running down the stairs.
That was awesome.
Hilarious. I love that.
Hulk hates stairs. It's so good.
And then the funny part with Thor like actually shocking Iron Man back to life. That was pretty funny. I've never done this before. But then of course Fat Thor throughout the entirety of it was great.
Oh man!
And by the end, he looks like an actual Viking, which I loved. That was awesome.
The long hair and the beard. Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah. But then of course the moment everybody's gonna be talking about is Cap actually picking up Mjolnir.
Dude, our theater erupted.
That was the
went
pinnacle
nuts.
of the film, I think. Was that moment?
It takes you back to you harken back to that. Was it in the first Avengers?
Ultron.
Ultron. Yeah, we're all sitting around afterwards, and they're trying to pick up the hammer, and Cap grabs it, and it moves.
Yeah,
and you see it looking. Thor's like, oh, and he even says it in the movie. What it says is like, I knew it. It's like, why did you grab Mjolnir? And I looked at Dad. I'm like, they got the hammer and the axe. I think he even said to you, Cap's going to grab it. It's going to happen. Yeah, dude.
But just after that moment, the film, I think, just continued to just go better and better. I love the Ronin storyline. I love finally just giving him his moment to shine. Hawkeye, where I thought he was going to die in this film. I really did. I thought once they went to the Soul Stone, it was him and Nat, that he would be the one to die.
And for those listening, just to make sure, we're talking about Hawkeye Ronin, not Guardians of the Galaxy Ronin. Yeah, dude, I'm with you because I love Hawkeye. But I liked Ronin. Him and his Ronin, way better. Way better.
But you see that his transformation, he starts out as Ronin, and then he does not use his bow and arrow until trying to stop Natalie from killing herself at the top of the hill.
Yep.
And then with her death, he fully goes back into being Hawkeye. We only see him use the sword whenever he's fighting Thanos' dogs. I'll call
those dog alien
whatever.
Things, yeah.
And so I thought that was really cool just to see him go back to the light, but still keeping some of that cool Ronin sword fighting, whatever it is.
That scene in Japan is just when he's fighting a Yakuza. I'm like, dude,
great.
Just stop talking. He's going to kill you. That's all there is to it.
Okay. Yeah. Overall, again, the movie was absolutely fantastic. I know you have some qualms with it, but I don't really care.
Exactly. We're going to address those issues.
It's hard to say words just because it was there's so much. Like we could really do this episodes like an episode for every hour that the movie is like.
Yeah.
And even that I don't think would be enough because there's just so much. It was absolutely fantastic movie. I'll stop talking and let Mark take over here.
Well, I think that it was pretty emotional, roller coaster up and down.
Yeah,
the whole time it was.
You're wanting it. For me, I'm thinking, well, everybody that's died in Infinity War, when are they coming back? Are they coming back? Is everybody coming back? And so you're kind of going through the movie. That's in my mind, thinking they're coming. But in turn, you see all this Iron Man and Captain America kind of bonding back together, getting all this stuff going. It's just a phenomenal movie from start to finish, and there is a few things I might not particularly like, but I thought that the action was phenomenal. Everything about it, the writing, the cinematography. I mean, everything is the graphics.
Cinematography was
just phenomenal.
Unreal in this movie.
I thought it was just really, really good. So. I have nothing major bad to say about it. So I think Up and Up, it's number one on my list there. So
not even Black Widow dying. Well,
what?
Spoiler alert.
That's the roller coaster. Right there. I didn't want her to die. Didn't expect her to die, but I knew somebody was about to die.
Well, we were talking
we had
too.
No choice.
about this is even going up to that point, we knew if you to get the Soul Stone, someone has to die, but we never thought about it until you got there.
Yeah, until you were right
They
at that
kept
moment.
it going so well, and I think it is because of the cinematography, the direction of the movie.
Yeah,
The Russo brothers are geniuses. Yeah. I'm not okay with the fact that they're taking a break after this from Marvel. They'll come back, but they're taking a break. Oh no, not a good idea because they're so good. But they kept the pace and the structure so well that it almost doesn't give you time to think about that until it happens, which was perfect. Because when it hits you, you're like, oh, crap. Like, it's Hawkeye.
And to see her laying down there, I was just like,
dude.
oh, man. Not good. So, thumbs up all the way around. Great movie. Everything really enjoyed.
This movie, for me, I think, is probably the greatest fan appreciation film I've ever seen.
For
sure. If you're a fan of the Hulk, you're getting your moment. You get your moment with Professor Hulk. Oh, dude, like him. Yes, finally, we get Professor Hulk on screen, and he's great. And if you're an Ant-Man fan, you got your moments. If you're a Black Widow fan, she's got her moments. I mean, everybody had their moment that you were wanting. Obviously, the pinnacle of that, for me, I think, is two things, and they both involve Captain America because he's the best of them all. Him getting Mjolnir. Like when he picks up that hammer, of course, you saw it in the theaters, dude. People went ballistic. That's the best. That fight sequence there, because there's so many fight sequences in this film, was the best of it all to me. That moment of him with Mjolnir fighting Thanos was just, it's flawless. And then them all coming through the portals, and Cap standing in the front of everybody going, Avengers Assemble. And our theater went nuts to that point. We've been waiting for that for years, Like we wanted to hear it in the first one, didn't hear it. Wanted to hear it in Ultron, didn't hear it.
You got a part of it in Ultron at the very end.
Wanted to hear it in Infinity War, didn't hear it, But because that's always been Cap's line with the Avengers in the books, and then all of a sudden you got it, and you had your moments. Even Thor, while I did not like the fact that he was Fat Thor the whole time, look, we got 6 Infinity Stones. I can deal with him being fat at first, get him into shape a little bit before the war starts. But having that, because there's so many times in the comic books where you do, especially in the movies, you kind of gotten away with who Thor is. Thor is a Viking Norse god, know. So he drinks his ale and he's got his long beard and he's that rough cut Viking character, and you never really got that full on character so far. And for Thor fans, I think, and Mark, you can chime in too, we haven't gotten that. But some of my favorite moments of the Thor in the comics was that Thor. Yeah, we finally got that Thor. Right. So I thought it was absolutely just amazing, and you got that with everybody. Rocket Raccoon has his moments. You didn't get as much with everybody at the end, but they had their little moments, like even with Drax. He didn't have a big long screen time, but when because he comes back at the end, but you see him jump on the back of that one thing, and he's like, just acting crazy like Drax. I'm like, there you go, we got our little Drax moment there. They made sure to get everybody their moment. Some of the shining ones too was Scarlet Witch. When Wanda shows up, dude, at that point I even thought, this is it, it's over, this is the end. She is going to pound you into the ground. But they showcased her very well. Physically, she cannot stand up against Thanos, but her powers definitely can. Yeah. So that was epic. Captain Marvel, who I didn't get as much screen time as I honestly thought she would.
About 20 minutes, I think.
Yeah. So, but she killed it on every time.
I'll say it was key. Every time
finally got her haircut, too.
Yeah. Which I was glad. I was like, yes. When she was awesome. But she had great moments. That moment where Peter's laying there with the gauntlet in his hand, and he's like, hi, and he's like, hi, I'm Peter Parker, and she's like, hi, Peter Parker, you got something for me? She's great as Captain Marvel. Of course, now the best moment was when she's fighting Thanos, and Thanos punches her in the face, and she doesn't even budge, just looks at him.
That's my only problem with the movie, is that moment right there where he punches her. The movie's over.
When she shows up?
They had the little, he grabbed the power stone. No. She's already broke his thumb and pinky off by that moment.
He's done. That was a smart move, though, him grabbing the power stone, because that would have been the only conceivable way for him to have had any effect. I think it was a little overboard on the effect, but it was phenomenal. But I think the shining moments definitely was Cap and Mjolnir, the Avengers Assemble. And then, man, the ultimate moment I did not see coming, and that's Tony, the snap. You know, I just we knew the snap was going to happen, and it happened with Hulk.
Yeah.
Which I was like, yes. But to see Tony, spoiler alert, die was that whole moment was probably the epitome of the emotional roller coaster. But his last line could not have been more the I am Iron Man. I mean, dude just was flawless. And even when it happened, I was kind of mad. I'm like, this is not how it's supposed to happen. No. But Pepper really sold it. When she told him you can finally rest, it really brought that together. Because, I mean, since the beginning, he really has waited. I mean, the shield around the world. This is what's been driving him, was protecting everybody ultimately from Thanos. Yeah. And he did it, you know. And so there was no better way for him to go. Thankfully, Morgan's here. His daughter's here. So they got that in. So because she's, you know, future Iron Man. There's some theories there, but that's to be talked about past this movie. There were so many shining moments for everybody. The movie is absolutely phenomenal. We got done with the movie, and Mark looked at me and he was like, was that really 3 hours?
Yeah, it did not feel
like 3 hours. I'm like, throw another hour on there, man, because, I mean, it was great.
I could have sat there longer without a problem.
Dude. I mean, and I think by, like, you know, halfway through the second act, I'm like, crap, I've got to pee. I ain't moving. I'll develop a kidney stone before I get up out of this seat, because it's not happening. I mean, the movie is. I mean, as a fan, I mean, and even as just your standard moviegoer, man, I mean, it was epic. Absolutely epic. There's so much. They handled it so well because there's so much to put in one film. Yeah. And they did it almost flawlessly. I mean, absolutely flawlessly.
Not that I would have wanted them to, but this totally could have been a 2-part movie. Stretched it out into 3 with Infinity War and 2-part Endgame.
Yeah, they could have.
Not that I would have wanted it, but
right.
Yeah, you walked out of the theater going, no, I need more.
It ends right as Cap is walking to the army. I would have,
dude. I would have been. It would have been like Lord of the Rings flashbacks for me. Like, I know Mark's a big fan of the film. I love the books, but I walked away from each film going, I gotta wait a year for more walking. But anyway, but I mean, it's a phenomenal film. There's no way people are not going to love it. I mean, I love it. I have my qualms, which we'll get into, but I absolutely love this film. I mean, it would number 2 on my list. I mean, it's so good. I mean, everybody listening to this, you've probably seen it and you completely agree. If you haven't seen it and you're still listening to this, you're absolutely crazy. But because we've ruined everything for you.
Not everything.
Not everything. We've kept some cool things out, but it's phenomenal. Here's my issues, because I will address this.
Because you can pass me. I have no issues with the whole movie.
This is SludgeCast.
The only issue I had with the movie is the girl sitting behind us cried.
Oh my
She
gosh,
cried
dude.
buckets. I mean, you could hear her in I mean, just sobbing.
It was like listening to every woman watch The Notebook.
It
was so bad. I was like, dude, I mean, I'm with you. I mean, I'm upset, but come on, lady. Like, she's one of those ladies, like, she was crying so much that it's like she could have borderline been a, Robert Downey Jr. stalker, one of those. It's like,
that's fair. Yeah.
She'd lock him up in a room in her basement and feed him or whatever.
And once a month.
Yeah.
When it first happens, I can hear her behind me. But when Spider-Man comes up there,
dude, that was rough.
And she really lets loose. And I'm thinking, dude, we need to call paramedics or something. This lady's in trouble.
Because that was probably the most emotional. I mean, because him dying was emotional. Oh, yeah. I mean, because he doesn't even say anything.
Yeah.
He says one word and it's Pep. Like he says Pepper.
But when Peter gets there, dude, because you get that moment when Peter comes back and he's there with Tony and you see
the hug,
dude, and that's an emotional wreck, but when Tom Holland is a great actor, that kid is great, and it was at that moment where I was like, okay, there's been some choking up parts for me because I don't cry in films. Yeah. There's been 2, but those stay unnamed, but because I was a child, let's remember that. But when it came to that scene when he comes up to Tony dying. I mean, I'm like you. I'm like, if this continues on, I'm going to cry.
I was struggling.
It was rough.
It was like, quick, eat popcorn.
I'm not wiping my eyes.
I think now's a good time to go to the bathroom.
There's a bug in my eye or something. But no. So when that happened, that lady behind us, she was.
And I think Robert Downey Jr. dying right there. If you look at his eyes. I could almost believe he was dying.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that was a major act.
I mean,
there.
he's probably, of everybody that's in these films. Now, Cap's my favorite character, but as far as the actors, he's the greatest actor in this series.
Yeah.
There's nobody that does so. I mean, in everything he does. I mean, he's the best of them all. But Qualm's time. Okay.
I have none.
I have one. I'll let
one.
you go first.
I'll kick the little small one out real quick. Pepper Potts. Awesome in the suit. I'm so glad we got to see her. That was harkens back to the comic books. She kicked some butt. That was great to finally, because I mean, when you see her in Iron Man 3 step up to fight, I'm like, oh, dude, I was getting pumped. I'm like, yes, we're seeing the Pepper from the comic books. So seeing her in the suit was absolutely awesome. Suit looked just like it did in the books. It was so good. I loved that moment. My issue was the moment on the couch after he figures out time travel. Because she is so okay with what he wants to do. Pepper but prior to that, 21 years, 10 films. No Tony. You don't, because she doesn't want him to die, and she's no Tony. Even in Infinity War, one more surprise. No, I mean, she's always been so adamantly no. And now they've got Morgan, so she should be even more adamantly no. You do what you got to do because you're not going to be able to. I mean, like, so easily that change. It's a small nitpick, I know.
Yeah.
But that really kind of.
But I think that speaks to her character development, though. She got Tony back, and she's understanding that, well, this is how I felt because I lost Tony. How is everybody else in the world
Right.
I think that's a bit of her
That's
character
one of those things
development.
where I think if they'd have added another 20 minutes,
Yeah.
would have been better. But that's a little nitpick that just really irked me as far as the writing. The big issues really all boil down to the time traveling. And this is why. First, well, we won't do this one first because it's probably the biggest of the issues. Let's start with Cap at the end. Cap goes back to return the stones at the exact moments they were taken, so that it doesn't create an alternate timeline like the
ancient one,
like the Sorcerer Supreme was talking about. The ancient one was talking about. I did love
that was awesome
that she said, Doctor Strange is supposed to be the best of us. Like that one, yeah, he is. That's awesome. But it was cool too because she trusted him 5 years prior to him actually becoming Sorcerer Supreme.
Right.
Which was so cool. But so anyways, when Cap goes back to put the stones, and then of course they're like, all right, he's back in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and he doesn't show up, and then he's there on the bench and he's old. I have a major issue with that. I love the way they did it because I don't want to see Cap die because yes, I would have cried probably at that point. But here's my two things with that one, and is one, because of the super soldier serum, he ages extremely slower than we do. I understand he goes back to be with Peggy and rides it out. He would not have looked that old and decrepit. I mean, it wouldn't have happened. I understand why they did that, to put him in retirement mode. Okay, whatever. I can slide by that. But here's the biggest thing. He went back and stayed with Peggy. The science of the timeline throughout the entire film was destroyed at that one moment because with the science of the movie and the way that this is supposed to work, he, at that moment, created a parallel timeline.
Yeah.
right.
So everything that happened
It
didn't.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, that was a big... I get it, and as a fan, I loved it. He got to go back and like you said, get a taste of that life that Tony kept telling him about. To go back, and the last thing you see is him and Peggy. To me, that was perfect. I, as a fan, loved it.
Well, the happy ending, riding off in the sunset type deal.
But as a movie fan, dude, that caused a lot of problems to me. That was too big of a loophole to have let slide and go. They'll be okay with it. I mean, they could have. I think they could have been done different. That's a big issue for me.
How would you have done it?
How would I have done it?
Yeah.
He would have gone back and gotten his moment because he had to go. They had to go back to the army base, and there's that moment where he's in her office with the picture. He takes the stone back, goes back to the office, and sees her, and they have a moment. But then he has to leave. Okay, you could have done that and not messed up anything.
But I think at that moment they would have had to have killed Cap because this was a way to, I think, he's out of the series, but he's not dead. And I think that was their way of just like because for me, I think there's more Captain America fans than there are Iron Man fans. If that makes sense.
Oh, definitely.
Because
Definitely or at least I'd hope so.
But I think that was their way of just easing him
I mean,
out.
yeah. I mean, again, as a fan, I loved it. It was a great way to see him go because then you did get something that you didn't get in the books. You got to see him pass the mantle. In the comics, you never get to see him pass the mantle. When he becomes Nomad, he's forced to become Nomad, and then Falcon takes on the mantle. It's never given to him. So to see Cap hand that to Falcon was absolutely unbelievable. I wanted to go to Bucky, you know what I mean? Because Bucky's been there since the beginning in the comics, but there was never Captain America and Bucky. It was Captain America and the Falcon, you know? Yeah. So to see him pass it to Sam was absolutely great.
And I think that was kind of their way of like, you know, they knew that the fans wanted it to be Bucky, but the Bucky saying, go on to Sam, you talked to him.
Oh, you knew at that moment.
I was like, okay, well, that's them saying, you know, we know you wanted Bucky, but this is how we want it. Like, you know.
Yeah. Well, and plus, I think, too, and I think me and Mike, Michael Sneed, a friend of ours from church, talked about this yesterday. They've called him the White Wolf. Mm-hmm. So please tell me, I hope, that they're going to develop him in the White Wolf character, because I did like Bucky as White Wolf way more than him as Cap, to be honest. And so Black Panther 2, bring him as White Wolf, so that would be great. If you're going to develop Bucky, develop him as White Wolf. Right. You know what I mean? Okay, so that's qualm number 1. The next one, again with the timeline. Loki. Go back to the 90s, okay? He gets the Tesseract, he gets that stone, and he disappears. That whole it's like that whole conversation between the Ancient One and Banner. They're like, we got to put this in here because this is how this would really work and scientifically.
And
but we're going to ignore it completely. Yeah, we're going to Back to the Future this, because at that moment, these are the options you got. At that moment, when he disappeared, then they go back to World War II and take the stone. Okay, him disappearing with the stone, at the very least, created an alternate timeline right then and there.
Well, I had assumed that that's where they're going to go with the Loki TV show, was from that moment.
That, to me, that would make sense.
Right.
But that caused too big of an error.
Yeah,
Way too big of an error. Because Cap goes back to take the stone to World War II, not to the 90s. Mm-hmm. So Loki disappears. Well, if Cap goes back to World War II at the worst case scenario, when you go back to the final fight, Loki's still alive, and there's now 2 of those stones in existence. And that cannot happen.
Right.
So to me, that was a big overlook. You know what I mean? And again, as a fan, I don't care, man. It was awesome. You know, like,
yeah, keep Loki.
Yeah, like keep Loki alive. We're going to bring him in for the show. But as a movie goer, as much as I watch music and tend to critique on my own, that was a big qualm for me, because that was kind of like, let's slide this under the rug too. So those were my 2 big issues with the film, was that right there. Other than that, perfect film. But that was really difficult to deal with. Oh, then there was one small one too. I forgot, and it's minute. It's really minute, but you see everything wraps up for everybody. Mm-hmm. You see everybody go and do their thing, and then you see how it ends. You see the funeral. You see everybody go their separate ways, and you see Thor get on the ship with the Guardians, which is super exciting, because please put him in Guardians 3. That'll be awesome. Here's my one problem.
There's no knife fight.
No, well, yeah, there's no knife fight. There's no Gamora.
I think that's what Guardians 3 is going to be about.
It's coming back, bringing her back.
Because I don't know if you remember, Quill is sitting there and it says searching over a picture of Gamora.
That's right. So she's gone somewhere.
So my thing is, Thanos never got the Soul Stone, so she's out there somewhere. Yeah. Because that never happened.
Yeah, because when he brings her back, you can't bring her back.
Right.
Because that was the sacrifice for the Soul Stone originally. Got that, no problem. That makes sense. But at the end, I felt like everybody, we don't know. Yeah. I mean, everybody you had a wrap up on except Gamora. Yeah. You know, she does come back. I love the scene where Quill's first sees her and she kicks him between the legs. Oh, that was hilarious. She's like, "This one really?" And Nebula says, "Was that or a tree?" You know, so I love that. But I kind of felt that was going back and watching it and stuff, and I was like, I didn't get a wrap up. Where's she at? What's going on? I got closure to everybody except Gamora was the only one. So.
I think that was about the first thing you said when we got back to the car.
Was where's Gamora? What's going on? So I mean, like that's not a major thing because I'm sure they'll answer that. But I was kind of like, oh man, come on, you give me closure to every Marvel character except for Gamora. So, but because she's big, I mean, she's huge for Guardians. So sure. I figured we would have some kind of a closure there. But I mean, other than those qualms,
I mean, mine
flawless movie.
is
what's your
again minute, and it's not that I'm against like. Ladies having their thing, but that entire thing with Captain Marvel and all the girls, it was very unnecessary because Captain Marvel, like she doesn't need them.
Like I get it.
I get it too. Yeah.
Yeah. Give the girl moment because
do that before Captain Marvel.
Well, to me,
there.
like this is why I saw that scene because that was the with so we're gonna jump to DC here with what DC's done with Wonder Woman has really pushed.
Yeah.
Marvel to say, okay, we've got to bring some more women heroes on screen because it's done so much and it's a great thing. It's done so much for women in the spotlight in the movies. But so far to this point, Wonder Woman's still on top, in my opinion, like over, individually, Gamora, Nebula, Valkyrie, Scarlet Witch, Captain Marvel even. But I felt like that was Marvel going, DC, don't forget.
Yeah.
And lines them all up together. It's like, no. Yeah. Don't forget who we got.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think it was unnecessary. It was a cool moment for the women.
It was.
But it definitely was one of those things, kind of like the way they shot it.
This is overkill.
Yeah. Like, I expect this from, like, a Kevin Smith film or something, But yeah, I could see that. It was a little over dramatic, a little bit.
That was,
But, yeah, it's phenomenal.
And the rat starting it all. This entire movie plot hinges on a rat pressing a button.
Yeah, that's right. The chances of that. Hey, well, I mean, what, 16 million or 14,600,000
to one. Yeah.
To one. That was the one, the rat. The rat saved us all. Someone take that rat out for a pizza. Because if it wasn't for that rat, we'd not be here. Yeah, that could have been a little bit handled better. I didn't think about that either. But yes. All thanks to the rat. Nobody else, no Avengers. It's all the rat. If it wasn't for the rat. But so, phenomenal film. I mean, I'm going to see it again in the theaters. I'm taking, the wife wants to go and the kids want to go. And I'm interested to see where they go from here. I mean, they got tons of storylines. I mean, we know we've got the Eternals coming, which means we'll have the Celestials coming. So I think it's going to go, we're still going to have, we got Spider-Man going on, Black Panther. And of course, Disney Plus is bringing the shows with the Loki show. The Wanda and Vision show. So it'll be interesting to see how they bring Vision back. Where they rebuild him, what's going to go on. The name is terrible. WandaVision. Like I'm a 1970s TV infomercial item, Get WandaVision now for $19.95. Free shipping and handling. Like that name is horrible. But it'll still be cool to have the show. Then we're getting you're going to get the, which I think is going to be great. You're going to get the Bucky and Falcon show. So you're going to get those two together. Then Hawkeye, they've finally let it slip. He's getting his own show with Jaren. And all the actors are coming back.
Yeah.
Everyone's playing themselves for this show. So
that's awesome.
Continuity.
Yeah, so it's going to be great to see what they're going to go with there. I like that they're keeping the smaller characters alive until they're needed for Avengers. Because you're not going to get a Hawkeye movie. You're not going to get a Bucky movie. You know what I mean? I'm interested about the Bucky Falcon part. What's going to happen because is that him
Cap
building to become Captain America?
That would be cool.
Because in the beginning, he's like, there at the movie, he's like, you can tell he doesn't feel worthy enough for the shield. So will the show develop him into Captain America?
That'd be cool. Which
would be awesome. Yeah. And then of course we'll have more Avengers movies, and they have talked about and teased, Secret Wars, Secret Invasion.
Now that they have X-Men.
Yes. Like Secret Wars, dude, we've got Venom on screen now. Don't worry about the whole, black suit Spider-Man deal. Bring those two together and have them. Yeah, it's going to be awesome. So we've got tons of Marvel to come. Morbius is coming soon. We've got another Venom movie. We've got Dark Phoenix fixing to come out in a couple months. Dude, that's, to me, Endgame's Endgame. But with everything looking right now, as far as as a movie fan, I think Dark Phoenix is going to be the best of the Marvel movies this year, as far as how the movie goes. What I mean? Like the direction, a movie critic side.
If you're walking in without any knowledge.
Yeah. Not a comic book fan,
right?
Because Endgame's a pinnacle. But as a movie fan, I think they're going to nail it with Dark Phoenix. And then I want to see about New Mutants. So we've got tons on the horizon. So much more Marvel to come. I mean, we've got decades of stories to sort through and characters that we've not even seen. Again, with them bringing the Eternals in, which I think is awesome, because if they're bringing the Eternals in, they're bringing the Celestials in. Marvel, it's time to bring Adam Warlock onto the scene. Like, we got to have him. Bring in the Infinity Watch. Like, obviously, this has happened. They don't want it to happen again. Bring in the Infinity. Oh, my one thing too I didn't think about, but because we were talking about Josh Brolin as Thanos.
Oh yeah,
that dude deserves an award. He is probably the best villain I've ever seen. I'll say he's a better villain overall than Heath Ledger's Joker, because it's kind of like, especially with Infinity War. I go back to the Rob Zombie's Devil's Rejects. That family. Those three, you hate and you despise, and they're the epitome of evil. And you go through that movie, Devil's Rejects, and you want that sheriff to kill them, and they deserve it because they're just terrible people. And then they go on that ride at the end of the movie. And Mike, you probably not seen this film. I know you have, but and some of the listeners have. But then they go on that ride, and they're all shot up. And Leonard Skinner's starts playing, and then they come to that police line, and you're like, "This is it. They're going to die." But then all of a sudden you feel yourself upset. Like, oh my gosh, this is it. You're bummed for them. You feel bad for them. And then you leave the theater going, why was I feeling bad for those people? They were horrible people. Great direction in the cat and that's how I felt with Josh Brolin as Thanos. There's moments in Infinity War, not so much Endgame because he is just bad guy mode, but Infinity War, I'm like, dude, I can get on board with him with this, you know what I mean? Or I can feel where he's coming from. Josh Brolin was just... he's the greatest villain Marvel's had. And so, I mean, definitely. And but his portrayal, to me, has been the greatest villain I've seen on screen. And I think he deserves some kind of an award. And I'm really bummed that he's gone. You know what I mean? Like, we got to have more Thanos somehow. But hey, you know what I mean? They screwed the timeline up twice in this film, so we may get Thanos
what
eventually.
What did Tony say? You mess with time, time fights back.
That's true. He did say that.
And I think that's how we're going to get Galactus.
Oh, cannot wait for Galactus.
And he won't be a giant cloud this time.
Oh, no, please no. I'm okay with a big purple suit Galactus. Come on. I mean, Thanos was purple. But that's Brolin.
I agree. He did a fantastic job, yeah.
Dude, I mean, I can't think of a moment where I'm like, You know what I mean? It's just, I mean, everything, especially in Infinity War. I mean, even when he goes to kill Gamora and she's like, there's nothing you love.
The emotion he shows in that moment.
He made Thanos the ultimate bad guy. I mean, Brolin was it, dude. Yeah. Brolin was it.
I mean, I'll argue Heath Ledger's Joker until I die because the Joker is my favorite villain.
He's the best Joker there is. And yeah, I have to agree with you. He is the greatest villain to a superhero there is. But as far as performance on screen, I'm about to go with Brolin, dude. Just because he's got those moments where I'm like, dude, I related. Dude, he pulled my heartstrings, you know. Ledger, I'm just like, dude, you're freaking crazy. You're the greatest Joker there is. Yeah, you know. I mean, I'm not going to knock Ledger's performance at all because it's the greatest performance in DC period, greatest Joker period. But
that's not a hard one to come by. Greatest performance in DC.
But I mean, as far as weighing out overall the character and the actor and the performance, it's going to be very hard to top Brolin in my opinion. But all right, so that's it. Any last thoughts?
I had no qualms with it, so I'm good on my end. Great movies, number one on my list.
Definitely.
Ditto.
Sweet. So, all right, guys, there you go. If you've not seen it, I don't know why you listen to this episode, but if you have seen it, you love it, go see it again. This movie's absolutely amazing. Where do we go from here? It's
Spider-Man Homecoming.
That's right. And
Far From Home.
Technically, Feige has come out, Kevin Feige, how you pronounce his name, and he did state that Endgame is not the official end of Phase 3 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Far From Home, Spider-Man is. So I want to see what they tie into these movies. It'll be interesting to see.
Good.
Oh, it's going to be awesome. So, all right, this is Sludge.
This is Micah.
And Mark.
Y'all have a good night or day, whatever.
Insert Memphis Mayfire here.
Yes.